Alright everyone, you'll have to forgive my appearance. I'm recording in the middle of the night and I haven't worked out the lighting situation in this room yet, but I have decorated it a little bit, finally got the wall scrolls up. What I am here to talk to you guys about is something that was brought to my attention during my last video. So in my last video, in the comments section, a couple of very dedicated viewers told me that Isekai Quartet Season 3 was out, and I actually had no clue that Isekai Quartet Season 3 was even a thing. I didn't know Isekai Quartet was getting a Season 3. That's how far out of the scene I've been for the past month and a half. I had no clue that that was a thing, and I love Isekai Quartet. Praised it a million times on my channel, yeah, I had no idea. And I think it's kind of an odd coincidence that I'm reminded about Isekai Quartet Season 3 coming out, because I actually just finished a rewatch of Youjo Senki, the saga of Tiny the Evil. And it also made me realize that we got a third season of Isekai Quartet before Youjo Senki even got a second season. So I watched the first episode of Isekai Quartet Season 3 because you guys let me know about it. I already loved Isekai Quartet. This is just more of the same. And the reason I wanted to just talk about this really quick is there was some really interesting actual lore dropped in this episode of Isekai Quartet. They really furthered some of the deeper plot of the whole universe of Isekai Quartet in this episode, which I was very shocked to see happen. So first of all, in this episode, we have confirmed that this season takes place after the movie. I don't know if any of you guys have seen the movie, Isekai Quartet Another World, but that also confirms that the movie was part of the Isekai Quartet canon. So the episode starts off with the usual stuff, kind of joking around. Everyone's meeting Garfield and Otto because they're going to be new people. And also, I guess our Cautious Hero cast is exiting the show in order to replace with our Eminence and Shadow cast, which is going to be introduced this season. You could see them in the opening, as well as at the very end of the episode we see Sid, which I think is awesome. I've made a few videos on the Eminence and Shadow on my channel over the past couple years or something. I like the show, so it's gonna be nice to see that in here, and I'm curious to see how Shadow's gonna interact. Ainz especially, because Ainz went through a Chuny Bio phase. Sid is basically his whole existence is just being Chuny. And in case you guys don't know, Chuny Bio, or Chuny, it's abbreviated as, Chuny Bio is basically a Japanese term for people that kind of have delusions of grandeur. That's kind of what it is, and that's what Sid is obviously going through. And Ainz apparently went through a phase like that when he was making Pandora's Actor, apparently. So I'm curious to see how Sid will interact with Ainz, and also with Megumin, and maybe any other people in the lineup here that have ever had a Chuny thing going on. But the main thing I wanted to talk about in this episode is some major lore that was dropped, like I said, on the whole Isekai universe, Isekai Quartet universe, and also stuff that relates to Overlord as well. It's something about the lore that I don't believe is common knowledge in Overlord that they kind of dropped in here, which I just think this is crazy, because Isekai Quartet is a gag series where it's supposed to be a joke series based on what was said in this episode, which I just think is insane that that's even a possibility for a show like this. So there were two major lore things kind of dropped in this episode. The first one is brought up by Ainz. Ainz basically comes to the conclusion that everyone in this world is a copy that was generated from their originals, and their originals are still living their lives, and that's who we're seeing in the anime series of each of the characters in this show. And the characters in Isekai Quartet are copies that are being affected by their originals. Something that happens in this episode that provides that proof is that Subaru and Beatrice in Isekai Quartet automatically have the relationship that they have in Season 3 of Re:Zero, which just aired. Isekai Quartet Season 2, I think, was a couple years ago. Actually, hold on, let me look up those dates. Okay, so the first season was in 2019, and the second season was in 2020. Yeah, so this is way before Season 3 of Re:Zero. What I'm saying is that in this episode of Isekai Quartet, randomly, all of a sudden, Subaru and Beatrice have the relationship that they have, after that time skip between seasons 2 and season 3 of Re:Zero. And Ainz comes to the conclusion that the actions of the originals are affecting the consciousness and awareness of people within the Isekai Quartet universe. And that's why Subaru and Beatrice are now have the relationship, because, you know, in the previous seasons of Isekai Quartet, back when only season 1 of Re:Zero was out, they had, you know, Beatrice had that icy kind of attitude towards Subaru. And actually a funny thing that was shown in this scene is during this scene, we get like Isekai Quartet versions of all the newest things for our 4 main series that have come out. We get like this little clip with Ainz and Shizu in the carriage from the Sacred Kingdom movie, because that's the most recent Overlord thing that's come out. We see a clip from season 3 of Konosuba, which also just came out last year. And then we see a clip with Amelia and Subaru from that trailer for season 4 of Re:Zero. And then there's just this picture of Tanya on the phone and stamping papers, because there hasn't been any new Yojo Senki, like literally, when did Yojo Senki season 1 come out? That's been forever. 2017. Oh my gosh, it's been 8 years since Yojo Senki. That's such a shame. Tanya the Evil is like, seriously, I actually think it's one of the best isekai shows ever. Anyway, this isn't a review of Yojo Senki. I just thought it was funny because all the 3 other series all had recent stuff come out, with Re:Zero and Konosuba season 3, as well as Overlord's, you know, the Sacred Kingdom movie, whereas Yojo Senki has had nothing in 8 years in anime. The light novel is still going on, I think. But anyway, I digress. I just thought that was funny because, like, there was just nothing to animate for Tanya. So this kind of whole thing has been something I've thought about with Isekai Quartet for a while. I always viewed it as just like an alternate universe, but it's actually just a copied, like, it's just a branching timeline, I guess. So basically, the way I understand it is the Isekai Quartet timeline is running concurrently compared to all the other timelines in the shows that make up Isekai Quartet. This is just crazy that I'm actually having this in-depth, like, conversational thoughts about Isekai Quartet, which is supposed to be a gag show. But I don't think it's gonna change like anything with the show, because, you know, Ainz says that it's possible, because they're being affected by their originals, that it's possible that maybe they can affect their originals as well. Maybe it's a two-way street. Obviously, they wouldn't do anything that would affect the canon of anything, you know, in the originals, but maybe like in future anime adaptations, we might have like some Easter eggs to Isekai Quartet thrown in there. Isekai Quartet is, you know, kind of like this big linking thing for all these different universes, which I just think is neat. I don't think it's going to change like what this show's about either, because Roswell then says like, oh, what are you going to do about that? Like, are you going to be sad that you're a copy? Or are you just gonna, you know, enjoy the life that we have? Roswell's like, let's just try to be even better friends this semester. You know what I'm saying? Like, so the show is still going to be the funny little gag show that I've come to know and love, but there's just this really interesting lore dump here, which I just thought was neat. But the last bit that I wanted to talk about was one of the last lines of the episode that was said by Roswell. Roswell makes this comment. He says, "Dragon, goddess, witch, X. You will not have your way with this world too." And at first I wasn't sure what he was talking about, but then I thought about what is actually going on. Those are all the people, the beings that caused the isekai-ness for our protagonists, for our 4 main protagonists. Goddess was Kazuma, X was Tanya being X, which was, I guess it hasn't been confirmed, it's very heavily implied that Satella was the reason for Subaru being isekai'd, and then Dragon for Ainz. And this goes back to a lore piece in Overlord that also hasn't been 100% explained or confirmed either. I've said this before in a few videos, but this is kind of a lore thing here. The Dragon Emperor is the one that's responsible for players being in the new world. And this is heavily implied by Platinum Dragon Lord in his fight with Pandora's Actor, where he says like, oh, like it was our hubris, referring to dragons, that caused you guys to be here. And then like in the bonus volume, Elder Coffin Dragonlord calls Suzuki Satoru, he calls him the filth of the Dragon Emperor, which heavily implies the Dragon Emperor is the one that was responsible. So this also doesn't confirm anything, because it's not like it's from the actual series, but it reinforces that the Dragon Emperor is the reason for players in Ainz being in the new world of Overlord. There was also this one line that they silenced in the ending monologue there from Roswell. So I don't know what's going on, but clearly Roswell and the teachers maybe know something more about the deeper lore of what's going on in Isekai Quartet, and like maybe this world it was created as like a defiance. Also, I saw this really interesting comment about our 4 main Isekai protagonists here. They were all Isekai'd in different ways. Kazuma was reincarnated in the same body that he had before. Subaru was teleported to the new world in the same body. Tanya was reincarnated into a different body than what she had before, and Ainz was teleported in a different body than what he had before. So they all kind of like somewhat parallel each other, but they all were isekai'd in different ways. I just think that's interesting. But anyway, I've ranted long enough about the lore dump from Isekai Quartet. This has literally been the first episode. I want to see if maybe they'll do some more with this, but I was just so surprised that they were actually like advancing plot things about the lore of the universe of Isekai Quartet like in this episode. Like I wasn't expecting that for the first episode here, but that was really interesting. I just wanted to vent a little bit about it, and thank you all for telling me about season 3 of Isekai Quartet coming out, and I'll continue watching it. It looks like it's shaping up to be a good season, so I can't wait for more, and maybe if I like it enough, I'll make another video talking about some stuff that goes down in Isekai Quartet. So guys, what did you think of this information? Did you guys learn anything? Maybe it was like something interesting for you guys as well. Are you guys as excited for Isekai Quartet season 3 as I am? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. You know I love to hear from you guys. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more content like it, please hit the like button to let me know. And if you aren't already, please subscribe to the channel. It helps me out more than you know, and it'll let you know when I post in the future. With that being said, I want to thank you all for watching to the very end of the video, and I will see you all next time. Bye.